the real reason for obesity, diabetes, and several other unknown future health conditions. Let's talk about it. One of the most unfortunate side effects of our modern society is we've lost massive amounts of touch with nature. We're put into concrete boxes and we're isolated for these corporation jobs that we all work 9 to 5 and not even worried about where our food comes from, how it's made, what's in it. We've lost all of that knowledge. We used to know very, very intimately how to grow and farm crops, and a lot of that has now been subsidized and taken over by government agencies. So we continue to move farther and farther away from actually what's healthy and beneficial to us. The average consumer is very, very guided by what is the cheapest amount of food they can get with the most calories and taste. And that's basically it. Nobody does any research. Nobody cares about what's in their products. They just assume because it's on the shelf that it is very beneficial for you and good to eat. Real food is supposed to have imperfections in it, but corporations know if they put those on the shelves that nobody will buy them. So what's out there now is just tons and tons of processed, ultra processed, garbage food that is not healthy for us. And I want to dive really deep in that, but first...
This episode is sponsored by Knowledge. Want that seemingly unfair advantage in life? Try Knowledge. Beefy. Easily accessible to everyone. Side effects include higher paying jobs, people looking at you with confusion, family members hating you, unusual amounts of power. Now available in a can.
Our bodies actually have very beautiful mechanisms set in place to be able to regulate and move energy from the types of sources of food that we eat. And we're constantly keeping out of harmony with that by consuming very ultra-processed types of food. When I first transitioned to a whole food, vegan, alkaline type diet, I had tons of major issues. I'm talking about other than restaurants saying, get out, we can only serve you water, type deals. I'm talking about I had brain fog, I was lethargic, I was slightly depressed, and I didn't know what to do because I felt like I was on the right path. So it wasn't until I switched to non-GMO, organic types of foods that all of that went away and everything started becoming back in balance. Even though organic non-GMO stuff does have some of the fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, and growth formulas and stuff in it, it has a lot less. And when I switched to that, everything kind of started being more harmonious.
The moment you know that something is bad for health, ethically you have to correct it. I think they wanted deniability because what our research suggested is that their products could negatively impact health in unanticipated ways.
Corporations began to buy up their competitors, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. Today, the 4 largest beef companies control 85% of the market. 3 companies control 83% of the cold cereal market. 2 companies control 70% of the carbonated soft drink market. 2 companies control 80% of the baby formula market. Why do companies buy up their competitors? It's because they don't want to compete. And when they don't have to compete, consumers have to pay more. Farmers and ranchers get paid less. And the difference goes to those corporations as higher profits.
But I sure as heck don't want my tax dollars subsidizing the things that are making people sick. And now we have to pay for the healthcare costs of the chronic disease that we're fueling with our food system.
The number of calories in the food supply increased to about 4,000 calories a day per person, and that's twice as many calories available in the food supply as anybody needs. Food companies are businesses with stockholders to please. The profits have to get bigger and bigger, sales have to increase and increase, and food companies figured out lots of ways to do that.
Wendy's Baconator is the ultimate bacon cheeseburger.
They opened up fast food places all over the world. They made foods in larger portions.
Wanted an enormous sandwich.
If you are presented with a very large amount of food,
The biggest entrees ever.
all of the research shows that you're going to eat more from that portion. So food companies are doing everything they can to get people to eat anytime, any place, day or night, in large portions. What better way to sell foods, whether people need it or not?
We had in Brazil each year 1 million new cases of obesity. But then we realized that traditional whole foods like rice and beans were being replaced by soft drinks, packaged snacks, sausages, instant noodles. All these products are formulations of nutrients and additives, colors and flavors, emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners. These are chemical compounds totally unknown to our metabolism. We decided to call this food group ultra-processed foods.
Corn on the cob, unprocessed. It's been peeled and washed. Canned corn, minimally processed. Salt has been added. But Dorito chips have color, texture, and flavoring additives. Ultra-processed.
We raised the hypothesis that consumption of ultra-processed food could be the main driver of diabetes and other chronic diseases.
And I would ask, what is it about ultra-processed foods that causes people to overeat? Is it the nutrients that's driving this? Or perhaps it's something about the processing of these foods? So I decided to design two diets. In the ultra-processed diet, we had 80% of calories coming from ultra-processed foods, whereas in the minimally processed diet, we had 0% of calories from ultra-processed foods. But the meals were matched for the calories, matched for salt, sugar, fat, fiber, and protein. When people were exposed to this ultra-processed diet, they ended up eating about 500 calories per day more, compared to the mostly unprocessed diet. Experience is the brain's system of analyzing the nutrition that's within a food. Flavor is nature's language of nutrition. We've been manipulating the sensory characteristics of food. Thanks to flavor technology, we can make anything we want taste like whatever we want it to taste like. Fake flavors, but also artificial sweeteners. Well, now we have new research that is showing that this is actually a terrible idea, that we're actually interfering with the brain's and the body's ability to metabolize food.
In the lab, we created a series of beverages where we manipulated sweetness independent of calories. So that way we have equally sweet drinks, but drinks of different calorie amounts. What we thought was that the highest calorie beverage would become the most liked beverage, but that's not what we found. Instead, it was actually the middle doses, where sweetness and calories are matched, that was eliciting the greatest brain response. In nature, the relationship between sweetness and energy is pretty stable. So when you manipulate sensory information without regard for the nutritional content, you're essentially creating mismatches. When sweetness matches the calories, then the body metabolizes that energy. But when something was too sweet for the amount of calories or not sweet enough for the amount of calories, the body's ability to metabolize those calories was blunted. Those calories are not being used as a fuel. Instead, they might be converted into fat.
So here we are. I mean, the average U.S. body fat is 40% for men and around 30% for women. 40% of a man's body weight is just fat. And guess what? They're constantly hungry for more, because the stuff they're eating, their body knows is lacking in nutrition. So they continue to seek, their bodies, much like the animals, continue to seek more and more nutrients because they're lacking in what they're eating. So what can we do as individuals where all of this really good, healthy food is very expensive and hard to find in the grocery stores, and all of this cheap, ultra-processed, very good tasting, unhealthy food that basically makes you want more and more, and it continues to create and grow health problems and effects in your life? What can we do as individuals to try to beat these systems that are in place by these mega corporations and everybody's lack of knowledge?